So in today's session, we're going to start with OOPS concept. Now, the full form of OOPS is object-oriented programming. Now, for object-oriented programming, what actually we do, we just create an object of a class and we use that object to just enhance our program. Okay, this is what object-oriented programming is, and it is a more structured way of writing up programs than other way of programming is like procedural way of programming. Now, what comes into procedural way of programming? If you use only functions into the programming, then that is a procedural way of programming. What we learned just before there's the functions, those are procedural way of programming. So this is the object oriented way of programming, and this is actually basically the class and object. So let us move forward. Okay. Yeah. So over here. So now we'll learn how to create a class and its object. So first of all, to create a class, we require something like this. We need to write a keyword class and then the name of the class. And inside that, whatever we write directly, whatever variables we want to write directly, those are called as the attributes of the class ABC. For example, over here, the class name is ABC. So age is an attribute of the class ABC. Okay. Now, this is a function inside the class, defined inside the class. So now we'll just move to the practical part. So we're gonna come to session 3. We will just take a folder right inside this. So over here, we're gonna just write, first of all, write down like class, and inside this, we're gonna write the it's not inside this. We're gonna name the class. Let the class be human. Okay, let the class be human. Then a colon, and press enter. So now, when you put a colon, so the color of the class has been changed, and we know that this has been become a class human. Now maybe there will be maybe age. Or in small case level, right? Age equals to 35. Maybe name equals to Amar. Okay, so these two are the attributes of the class. Okay, so now how to get these to use this class wherever we require? How to use it? So for using a class, we need to declare the object of the class. Like for declaring the object of the class, we need to come to the main block. And over here, we'll define like whatever variable we need to define, like a short form if you want to define like HMN. So now HMN will be the object of the class. How? You need to write the name of the class human and with a parenthesis. So over here with the parenthesis, what happened? This HMN became the object of the class, and whatever we write with this HMN will directly access the human class. Okay. Now, to access the attributes, like I want to access the age, to access the attributes, I want to print HMN dot age. So this is how we can access each and every attribute using dot operator. Okay. So HMN dot age, and it will provide us 35. So let us execute this code and let us see if this happens. See, you can see we are getting 35 out of it. That means we have created each and everything perfectly, and HMN has become the object of the class human. Now, it is not mandatory to always create the object of the class. It's better to create the object, but you can directly use the class name also, like print human dot age, and this will also provide the same output as HMN was giving. You can see this is also giving us the same output. So this is how we declare the object of the class. Like, for example, why we don't use directly the class name? This is because if you use directly the class name and it's accepting some data, for example, so what will happen? We cannot give multiple data with multiple objects. Now I have created like HMN one object and HMN one another object. Okay, another object the same class. Now I can use both the object differently, and both will act differently. Both the object has no interlinking of each other. So this is why we always declare an object before using the class. Okay, I hope you understood this. Now, next thing, if I want to get the name, the procedure is same. Instead of age, I will write name, and I will find the name of this particular thing, Aman. You can see I'm getting the name. Now, proceeding further, how to declare a function inside a class. Now, why to declare a function, that we'll discuss later on. But now, first of all, we'll learn how to declare it. So, def, the function name, as we declare the function, we'll just declare it, but inside the class. That's it. The difference is only that. Like we can use update age. Okay, we can use this update age. And inside this, I need to create a self object. Now, what is the self? What is the self? This is actually an instance of the function itself. Okay, I repeat it. Self is actually an instance of the object itself. Okay, so whenever we want to act as, means whenever we want to access name, whenever we want to access age, so we'll directly use self.age, self.name. So this is how we're going to use it. Okay, so over here what we can do, we can directly use it because this is not an instance. So we can use age equals to 45 name. Okay, so we have updated this. And we will print age. We will print age. Now what happens when we now execute this code? Actually, let me comment this. And now we have the object as HMN, and now we'll print call this update function right over here. So how to call this? We'll just write HMN dot update age, and inside that I will just put a parenthesis so that I'm calling the function. Okay, I'm not sending any data from here, so that's why we are free to use it. We will directly call it. So when we execute it, okay, it has not yet been saved, so let it get saved. Okay, now we will execute it, and you can see we are getting 45 as the data, the new age. Okay, now after this, if we want to act like if you are calling this age property right over here, then this age will get changed. But this will only happen if you have a continuous procedure. You are changing it and then again you are reusing it, then only you will find it changed. Like if I just use it like over here, print age undefined variable. Now I told you that this is something that is not being defined. Okay, now if I write it like self dot age, then also it will take this as the argument and change it. So I will just execute this and let you know. You can see 35 becomes the self dot age. Now what happened over here? I told you self is actually the instance of the entire object. Now what is the object over here? HMN. So self becomes the instance of entire object. Now whenever we want to access one function data to another function data or global values, we always access it using self. Okay, now this age is totally different from this self.age. Okay, now if I print this self.age after changing the age also, I will not find any difference into it, as it is the concept of local and global variables. Okay, so I will just execute this and you can see there is no difference between self.age, but there is a difference between the variable age. Now how to change the self.age variable? So I will just create this self.age self.age, or you can do one more thing, like it was something like this, and I will just remove this and I will write self.age plus 10. Okay, so what I have done, self.age plus 10, so I can use this as addition. Now if I want to change the self.age also, I need to write over here also self.age. Okay, so what happened, the previous value, what I'm doing, the previous self.age value, I'm just adding 10 into it and storing it in self.age. Now there is no age. Now there is no age, so if there, it will throw you zero value, null value. So I will just print this self.age and then execute this. You can see at the first instance, before adding 10, I'm getting 35. But when I have added 10 to the previous value, now storing to the same value, now the self.age value has been modified to 45. So this is how we just use all the operators and functions and the usage of variable in the class and object concept. We always declare a self and use that self to utilize our function. Okay, is that clear? Just let me know in the comment section if it is clear to you. Okay, it's clear. So now we will move forward. Like our next step is to send some data to the function. For example, I want to send the age from the function, and I want to store that age in the self variable, and then I want to use it. Okay, age variable. So I will just send like I want to send 48. Okay, I'm sending 48. So when I'm sending 48, I need to store somewhere. So I will store it somewhere over here, comma age. So when I'm writing comma age, that means 48 will be stored in the age. And now self.age doesn't denote this age. If I directly print age, I'm now permissible to print age directly, and I will get the value 48. Okay, I will just show you. I'm getting the age value 48. If you want to store this to age, global age value, so you can just follow this concept. Like I will just remove this and provided only age, and now the global age value is becoming 45. You can see 48. Sorry. Now, sorry. Now the global age value has become 48. You can see over here, both the values are 48. So this is how we can send the data to the function and we can use it inside a class object. Now, what is, when you might be thinking that this has become more complex than the functions, because in the functions we can directly use this. Why do we make a class out of it, and we can directly use this as a function, and there is no concept of self and nothing else, and easily we can use. But this is very looking simple when you are doing a smaller project with 2 to 3 functions and no issues with it. But think of the things that you're doing with a management system, like library management system. So what happens? You need to manage the books, you need to manage the sellers, you need to manage the retailers, you need to manage the wholesalers, those who are bringing the book, you are those who are borrowing the books, everything you need to manage. And for everything, what if you make a function out of it, it will be a mess. So for that thing, for example, there is a borrowers, you made a class of the borrowers, and inside that there will be all details of the borrowers. So you just call the class of the borrower and you will find all the details of it. Okay, then for buyers, means those who are buying the things, you make a class of the buyers. For registration, like new books coming into this section, you are locking the books. For that you make a class. So what happens, everything becomes in a structured manner, and it's very easy to use it. And even when the concept of inheritance come into play, it's become very much easier to implement new functions to the previous class. Now, what does it mean? I will just explain you in the inheritance part. But actually, think class and object is a more structured way of language of writing the code and it makes us control a huge amount of data with very simplicity. Okay, so let us move forward with this. So now the definition of self, as I told you, self argument refers to the object itself. Okay, hence the use of word self inside this method is self will refer to the specific instance of this object that's being operated on. Okay, as I told you, like human is the object, self denotes that this everything inside the object human will be considered or accessed by the use of self. So it is an instance of the object itself. Okay, I hope you got this. Now if we move forward, like sending parameters, so I already told you how to send parameters. If there are multiple data, you can send like this with the commas, and over here you need to have multiple data. Now we're gonna learn constructor, how to initialize a constructor. Now what happens, why constructors are mostly important part of the thing. Like when we are creating the object over here, where we are creating the instance of the of human object of human, then there is nothing that is created. We are fixing the things. Okay, we are fixing the things. It is not created. So what happens? We cannot change it as per our choice. We cannot. There are many other problems that will be occurring if you're not having a constructor. Okay, but if we require, like when we initiate this, automatically something should be initiated and stored. So for that particular purpose, we have constructors. Now I will just comment this entire part, put on a constructor right away. So for constructor, we'll just create a class, let it be with the same name, human, and inside that we'll just create a constructor. So for creating a constructor, we'll define double underscore init double underscore. So this is how we define a constructor, and inside that we'll just write on the values if you want, like self is the by default value. Okay, and then if you want to send something, you can send it, or if you want to initialize it, you can initialize it. Like I will send some data, like I will get some data, age and name. So first I'm getting age and second I'm getting name, and after that I will just, what I can do, I will just use it like self dot age equals to age. Now I'm creating a global variable right over here, and I'm declaring the value that I've got from the local variable right over here as an argument. I'm getting this value and I will just store it to the global value. Okay, so I will create a global value for name, and I will just store the name. That's it. So what happens, this now I can access it globally, and this I can use it anywhere. So now if I want to just create an object of this, like HMN equals to human, and I will send two values, like first is the age and second is the name. Okay, I've sent two values, and if I want to access it, like if I'm accessing it, then let us see what happens. You will just find that I'm getting 12 as the age. Okay, as the object of this, I'm getting 12 over here. Similarly, I can access the name and this purpose only. But if I'm defining a function, like if I'm defining another function, like addition add, okay, over here we'll just add the name. So I will just create a self object over here, self, and then I will do nothing. I will just create it, and then what I will do, I need to add 10 years to the current age, for example. So I need to access it using self. If I only write it age, then it will be taking a local variable. Okay, self dot age equals to self dot age plus 10. So this is what it is. And now if I access this human dot age, HMN dot age, she will get I will be getting an extended value. Okay, what do you think? I will be getting an extended value or not? Just let me know in the comment section. I want to know what we will be getting. Just let me know in the comment section that are we going to get an extended value? That means 12 plus 10, that is 22, or 12. I want to know that what are you understanding? Just let me know. So when we execute it, so you will find that we are still getting 12 out of it. So what happening actually that we have not executed this function before executing the age. Now if we want to execute this function right over here, then what we need to do, we need to just write html dot add, and that's a function. And now after this, if you just put this age right over here, then if you execute it, you will find that we are adding 10 into it. So this is what happening. We are adding the data. Okay. So now if we move forward, if we proceed forward, like creating functions inside a class. So I just explained to you how to create a function, how to use it. So you can use it like this: p1.name, p1.h. You can use the function right over here, and this is what the self uses. And if you want to send some data to the function, that is also permissible. Like over here, we have created multiple functions. Okay, now one function we are sending the data, like show name, we are sending the data name. And when we are sending the name data, now we will just use this name data over here. Okay, now so this is how we can use it. Now there are several attributes that we need to understand. So these attributes are get attribute, has attribute, set attribute, and delete attribute. Okay, now what are these four attributes are? So when we want to get some data, attribute data from the class, we use get attribute. Okay, when we need to check that is the attribute present inside the class, then we use has attribute. Okay, now when we want to set some data to the current attribute, okay, when we are setting some data to the current existing attribute, then we use set attribute. Now if you want to delete some data or some attribute only, like name, there is an attribute and we want to delete the name, so we'll just delete the attribute. Okay, these are the things that we need to do. So when we come to the get attribute, so what happens, we'll just execute this and we'll just find it out. Like we have age and name created over here, right? Now what we will do, we will just comment this path and we will just get the attribute, like get attribute, and inside that I need to pass on the object and the name. You can see over here it's given, like first is the object name and second is the name of the attribute. So my object is HMN. If I write human, that is also correct, HMN. And my let I want to get the age, or let I want to get the name. Okay, so I will just write name. So now over here I need to just print it out. I will just print it out. I believe we have made some mistake. Okay, we made some mistake, and that is this attributes will be in double or single quotes. Okay, this attributes will be in double or single quotes, or else it will act as a global variable that is somewhere the data is somewhere stored. I will tell you why it is acting such way and how we can rectify it. Like it's giving us John. Now for example, you have some variable over here like ABC, and you're storing the name over here. And then if you're using ABC, if you want to use ABC right over here, then it will act as a variable and it will give you the same value that we got. It will give you John. So this is how it works. Okay, so this is get attribute, and it is the same that we are doing actually. It is the same that we're doing with human or HMN dot AB dot name. It is the same thing. It's the same thing that we're doing with html.name, and this is what it is over here. Okay, so now when we move forward with the has attribute. Now over here we just check it out if this object has this attribute or not. Like I will just name it out like get attribute. Now similarly over here I'll just name it out has attribute, and inside that we're gonna print has attribute, and inside that what happens, you can see first is the object and second is the name. So first of all we'll write the object name like the object name is HMN, and second is the like name if I want to pass on name. So if I just execute this, you will find I'm getting a true value. That means name is present. That means name is present, and name attribute is present inside the class human, that is the object of HMN. HMN in the that is the object of class human. Okay. Now if I write something like sal, okay, and I execute it, it will throw a false value. You can see I'm getting a false value right over here, and this is what it is checking, that if we have the presence of the attribute inside or not. Okay, now if we have the set attribute, now let us see the use of set attribute. So I will just print now use set attribute, and when I use the function, you can see object, name and value. You need to have the three words over here, three variables over here. First is the name of the object, that is HMN, okay, comma. Now is the name, the name of the attribute that we need to change. Like I'm going to change name only, so I'm getting John continuously, so I will just change the name. And the third is the value, and I want to change the value to Amma. So now what I'm doing, I will just print the name attribute like html.name before this, and print html.name after this. Okay, so I'm just printing html.name before this and html.name after this, and I will just execute this code. You can see, okay, just let me, yeah. Okay, now for set attribute we don't require any print statement. I just made a mistake over here. That is why this none is coming over here. It should not come. So now you can see before this set attribute, we have html.name as John, name was John, and after this set attribute, now the name changed to Amma. So this is what the set attribute does. And now we'll go with the last attribute with us, and that is delete attribute. Now we'll just delete an attribute, like we want to delete age, for example. So we'll just print html.age first, and then we'll delete attribute, and then you can see there's an object and name. So first of all, I will just create the object, like object name is HMN, and the attribute I want to delete is age. Okay. Now after this, I will again print html.age, and when I execute this, when I just execute this, you will just see first I'm getting the data. I'm getting 12, but after we are using this delete attribute, I'm getting that there is no, the human object has no attribute age. Okay, so this is what happens when we are using delete attribute. So let us see. You can see set attribute. We are using the set attribute right over here, and its name and John, and we will now change the Adam to John. And when I'm printing this, you can find that we are getting after modification, the name is John. Now similarly, there's this delete attribute, and over here it is the same. So we're gonna delete this after this. Before this, we're gonna find it, but after this, we'll just delete it. So after this, we'll start with inheritance. So till now, whatever we have learned, if you have any doubt, just let me know in the comment section. If you have no doubt, then we will end this session and proceed with the further session with inheritance.